Oisches. So the Rebbe continues now to explain that also in Nishamas, while there are Nishamas, like the Nishamas of the Shvotim, that they are in Bia, but yet they get from the higher level, from Atzilus, from the Lifnei Atzimtzum, from the level of Ponim, to come down in Ocher. That's how the Rebbe explains the Mamer Chazal, that the Mittler Rebbe brings down, that when the Shvatim said to Yaakov, he says, Kshem she'ein belibcha ela echod, means that because you have belibcha, Yaakov was in Atzilus, you have the level of echod, kachem belibenu, that gave them lamato, even though they're in beyond, they're in the level of ocher, also the level of echod. As the Rebbe is going to elaborate, to show, we learned the idea, the way it's in the Olam Alifnei HaTzimtzum, that the Tzimtzum is Shvil Hagilui, and we learned mainly about the Tzimtzum Harishon. We learned it also in Avoida, the Avoida of Ponim V'Ocher, that within the Avoida of Ocher, we also have the level of Ponim, the Gilui. And here we're going to learn now how also the Neshamas, the way they're in Biyah, get from inspiration through the Gilui that is taking place in Atzilus. And that explains that discussion between Yaakov and his sons. Ches. Just as it was in the beginning of the Hishtalshelus, when Hashem created all of Hishtalshelus, in which He made the Tzimtzum, Binyan HaTzimtzum to Siluk HaOir, and then He was Mamshich, and that brings about from the higher level, from Lifnei HaTzimtzum into Achar HaTzimtzum, and also be Avodah, as we learned in Avodah, that in the Avodah in Ocher, we're Mamshich, also the level of Ponim, the Pnimius Nafshe shines, not only to make sure that Lapoel Mamash, you'll do the mitzvahs, but also do them with a pleasantness. It becomes Liritzoinoi, Kenu Gam B'Nishomis. Likewise, this also is with the souls. As we know that the Rebbe in the Maimer of Yud Shvat would bring down from all the Rebbeim, so the Rebbe brings down now from the Mittler Rebbe. Kvod Kedushas Admur HaEmtzoi B'Shara Tshuva, as the Mittler Rebbe explains B'Shara Tshuva, B'Kitzur, and he explains B'Maimer Chazal, the saying of our sages, Shashvotim Omru Yaakov. The Shvotim said to Yaakov, when they said Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, Yaakov responded when the Shvotim told him, he was worried that maybe there is some, he couldn't bench them, the Stalkul Shechina, so he was worried. So they said to Yaakov, Shema Yisrael, listen Yaakov, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And what they said is, the Gemara says, Kishem Shein Belibcha Elo Echad, just as in your heart there's only one, Kachem Belebeinu Elo Echad, also in our heart there's only Echad, only Hashem Echad. The Yadu Hadiyuk Bazen. So the question, the known question, why did they have to say, just like you, we too? Just say Shema Yisrael, that we believe in the Eibishter. Why do they have to say just like you? The Rebbe will explain it actually comes from you, as the Rebbe will explain. So, but the first question is, the question here is known, the Mahu Inyan Ha'Agdoma, what is the introduction here? They said first, just like in your heart, they should have just said, we only have in our heart. Why say just like in your heart? The other question is, what would even be a thought that the Shvatim don't have that? Mahu ha'amino shabo ha'shvatim lishloil. What is even the thought that the tribes came to renegate and say, no, 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 Hashem echad. The Rebbe explains that Take mitzad the level of the Shvatim, they don't have the full level of Echad because their neshamas the biyah. By them, it's Baruch Shem Kved Leilum Voed Bechiluf Atfin. It's not really Echad. But they said to Yaakov, just like by you is Echad, you are Mamshir, the Echad that is by you to us, to the Shvatim. The idea is the Hakadom, the Kshem. Shein believe when they made the introduction that just like in your heart, the only one who has better, that is an explanation on the sinas tam that gives the reason lemasha omruim belibeinu alecha to that they followed that in our heart is only one is because ein believe alecha. What does that mean? Because the Shvatim be'etzem, it's at their level, they didn't have the level of Echad. In Biyah, they didn't have the level of Echad. The Afal Pi Shvatim Heim Bechinas Merkavto Tato Deilam Abriya. So they are on a level of the lower chariots. Nevertheless, they're a chariot, mean they are a Merkava to a Lakus to godliness, the lower Merkava. The higher Merkava is in Atzilus. The lower Merkava is in Olam Abriya. And this is why the Rebbe brings in the note over here, note Chav. V'zehu Masher Kosuv. This is what the Pasuk says. Sheshom Olu Shvatim. And they became Shifta Yudke. The Shvatim go up. Meaning that when they go up from their level of Bria to Atzilus, then they become Shifta Yudke. The Yudke Koya Atzilus. Yudke refers to Atzilus. V'ayoyz da Shvatim heim neshames de biyah. Since the Nishvatim are souls of biyah, lochein tzorich liyos olu. That's what they need to go up. Aliyah, because they're not normally there. They are in bria, and they go up. If they shifta yutke, in order for them to become shifta yutke, there's an aliyah in Atzilus. They become shifta yutke. So this tells us that is where the Shvatim is, Ascholas Olam is Bia, the beginning of the world of Bia in Bria, Alma de Prudo, which is a world of separations. The Klolus Inyan Olam is Ha'ela. Generally, the idea of this all Olamas, the three Olamas, versus the Olam Hatzilus, Ubibchenas Pirut, they're all separated. They're a level of separation. As the Pasuk says, Mishom Yiporid, that after by the B'Sheish Meberesis, then it says that later on in the Pasuk it says the water, the river, and from there is split into four different places. So that's the representing the four levels of Atzilus B'Ritzir Asiyah, but the Yiporid takes place from Biyah, which is the idea of Achrei Havai Lekechem Kinal, like we said before, it's Achrei. In Afal Pikein, so what they're saying, even though we are Natzilus, Ein B'Libeinu Ela Echad, in our hearts there is only one, there is still Echad, there is Echad the way it's in Natzilus. Hainu, the Av Shegam B'Shleimus Havai the Deil Mabriya. Even when the avodah is done complete, fully, and it's in the world of the Bria, it still doesn't become Echad. In Bria, it's not, it's Alma de Pruda, it doesn't become Echad. Avoida begolu hi bechinas void. The open avoida is void. Shurak chilufei atvun de echot. Void is the exchange of the letters of echot. So echot itself, in its level, does not come to the level in the levels of biyah. Over there, it's only void. The letters voed are an exchange of the word echad. I explained elsewhere how exactly there is. It's in the level of in Zohar and in Tanya. Explained exactly how void exchanges the letters of echad. But nevertheless, their level is Vav Shurak Chilufa Atvidechot. It's only exchange of letters of it. And that is that the service of these neshamas of Elam Habriya is in the level of Achrei Havai Lekecha. Mikol Mokoim, and yet they're saying Bilibeinu, in our heart, Tahainu, Bipnim Yisalev, in the inner of the heart, it's in a level of Echad. Okay, so how do we do this? But they're in Biyah, and we're saying that they have the level of Echad. It's because of Yaakov Ein Belipcho, because of the Madrege of Atzilus that comes down through the Tzimtzum that comes down to Biyah. But the scene as the power given for this. That also in the Shvatim as they are in Biyah Alma de Pruda. There should be in the inner of the heart level of Echod. That is because by Yaakov, by Atzilus, there's only Echod. Kinal, as we said before, that this is an explanation and gives the reason. How could it be that Ein Bilibeinu Echod? Shebchinas Sel Yaakov Bilibecho Shemekoimu B'Elam Hatzilus, that what the level of Yaakov, which is Libecho, which Yaakov is in Atzilus, not only is he in Atzilus like one of the three forefathers, which were all Merkava Law in Atzilus, Elo Shehu Bechir Shebe Avis, but he's also the most chosen of the forefathers. Shahavis Hein Hein HaMerkava, and the forefathers are the chariot, all the forefathers, and he's the chosen one, so he is the level of Yaakov, on the level of Atzilus Echad. So this brings down, and especially as they adds in the note over here, especially Yaakov, who is considered the Bria Chatich, and he's the middle one. Avram to the right, and Yitzchak to the left, Chesed Gvura, and Yaakov the middle. Yaakov, since the level of Yaakov, that's the middle bar, which went through from one end to the other end in the Mishkan to hold all the walls together, meaning that the middle one goes all the ways from the top to the bottom. So Lochein through Yaakov, Nimshach al Yodim Habitl Da'atzilus Gam Bibriya. So through Yaakov, it extends also the bitl of Atzilus also into Bria. That Gam Bilibenu Dashvatim Bibiyah, also in our hearts of the Shvatim Biyah, should be Allah Echad Habitl V'chulu, the Echad, the bitl of Echad. Okay, so does it mean therefore? But it's a totally different level. We're getting the echad, but since it's in biyah, forget it. So we're saying here that it comes down. So does it mean that in Bia is the same level as it is by Yaakov because he brings it down into Bia? No, it's Kishem. אמנם אף על פי כן, על המשוך הזו, כשם חולו כך, היינו דאין זו ישראל ממש is not that same actually Indian. It's not that, it's just like in your heart, which means just like in Atzilus, so in our heart comes down, but it's not the same. The Rebbe brings down now from the Tzemach Tzedek, he brought down the Mittler Rebbe. K'moish mevayer kved kedushas. Admur HaTzemach Tzedek ba'adrushim, as he explains in the Maimorim, the Mash Omru Kishem Shem Belibcho Chulu Kach Chulu Humamash Inyan Maimer. This what he's saying here is exactly like we say this in the Zohar that says that we say on Friday night by Kabbalah Shabbos. We say Kigav non di inun misyachdin le'elo, just as they unite above. Uvachi, likewise, also so is Yachdas Lisato, the Eibishter is united below, just like above in the world of Atzilus. There is that level of unity of godliness. Likewise, so is Yachdas Lisato, below in Bria Bekursayo. On the level kursaya, this level of on the chair, the level of the sitting, that's the level of bria. To be connected one to one. So that Tzemach Tzedek explains, Shal Yidei she'inu misyachadim le'elo be'echod, through their union above in one, that Yichud Nimshach K'mei Kein Lemtato, that also likewise extends below Bikursai into Bria. Lemeheve Echad Be'echad, to be one with the one, the level of union. Ad Shenimshach Kein Gam B'Yud Beis Shvotim, this also extends to the 12 tribes. The 12 tribes are within the level of Bria, as explained over there at length, Shazau Hayud Beis Gvulei Alachson, Hanasim Hiskalulus Havov Ksovis Davov Mides Ebozeh. So, how do we get the number 12 in Bria, the Shvatim? That's what's known as the Gvulei Alachson. So the points in which the meet, if you have six corners, top and bottom, right and left and front and back. So that's 4 sides and top and bottom. That's 6. If you make a box out of 6 corners, you have 12 Gvulim. Those 12 Gvulim, those represent the number 12, the 12 Shvatim within the world of Atzilus. And the fact that we're saying when they're connected is das Kalus, Avav Midas Zebazeh. So in Bria, it comes down into the Yud Bim Gimel Lachsa, which is the 12 Shvat. So while that is the case, Avav Mikol Mokoim, Zo explained elsewhere this Gvul Alachs, and I just want briefly, the Rebbe doesn't go into Arichas here, but it's just the point that from the level of Atzilus it comes down to Bria, and in Bria all the ways into the Yud Beis Shvatim, which is the Yud Beis Gvulas Alachsan, which is the combination of the Midas Zeh Bozeh, because the 6 midas are like 6 corners, the top and bottom, right and left, and front and back, which is those are 6 midas. And those 6 midas, when you take those corners, that means when they're included one from the other. That's how you get the Yud Beis. It's only just like It's not the exact same thing as it's in Atzilus. Canal, likewise, is what the Shvatim said. Canal shekein nimshach ba'yudei Shvatim. Kishem chulu kach. Just like we say kigavno de le'elo, the same thing is when the Shvatim said that this nimshach in the 12 Shvatim, kshem shem elobeinu came to us, kshem shem chulu kachulu, the mebchin as yichudei ilo shebelibuch. From the level of yichudei ilo, from the level of yichudei ilo, Shmais Hashem Echad, which is in Atzilus. Shabbatzilus nimshach lanu b'biyah. So it extends to us in Biyah. Li is bechinas yichudei tato gamkein. That there should also be the level of yichudei tato, the bittul, the way it's in the lower level, in the level world of Biyah. Li is bechinas bitla yesh le'ayin, which will also be the bittul of yesh le'ayin. However, it's not the same. It's kegavna. It's kishem. It's not mamish yichudei lo, but just like over there, same here. So it's hamshocha from Yaakov, from Atzilus, from yichudei lo to yichudei to. This is what also in the Shamas of Biyah, we talked the Shamas Hashvatim, they are in Biyah. Nimshach ha'arem in the Shamas da'atzilus nishmas Yaakov. To them, they get a ray from the Shamas of Yaakov. So we said before, the Tzimtzum is the Gilui that in the Neshamas of Biyah, which are Mitzimtzum, they get from the Shamas da'atzilus. Similar to Kol Hashtalshlus, where after the tzimtzum you get from lifnei tzimtzum. In the avodah of acher, you get the level of panim. Here in the neshames, of biyah, they get the level, the shvatim, they get from the level of atzilus, the level of Yaakov. And the Rebbe is going to go on to explain that the same thing is true actually with the level of Torah as well. That Torah also has the level as it comes down in a way of Acher, and the Mamshich, the Ponim in the Acher.